Fáilte, and welcome to the Celtic Festival of Lunasah Chroi experiential ceremony.
Is Mrs. Sean de Contoul. My name is John Cantwell, husband of Karen, co-director of Chroi. A joy and a privilege to be with you today for Lunasah.
Agus is Misha Karen Nickon Bard, and I will be using my bardic skills later on to tell you a story of a very special person who has gifted his name to this festival of Lunasah, and that is the Irish sun god Lu, spelled L-U-G-H, but pronounced Lu. This very special deity is the one who holds the spear whose shaft of sunlight penetrates the earth and brings life and abundance, which is a key word for this festival, because, believe it or not, today here in the Celtic Islands heralds early harvest. Yes, today officially is the start of autumn. And early harvest might seem strange because we are still on summer holidays, but if you look closely in the hedgerows, if you look in the farmers' fields, you'll see that indeed there is that sense of burgeoning, blossoming, coming to fruition from the plants and all of the grains that are being grown in the fields throughout Ireland. And you can even sense it on the air. Although it's still warm, there is that little whiff of the autumn coming down the line.
We, like our ancestors, are very aware of the Earth's journey, an elliptical journey around the sun, and 8 poignant and key moments in that journey over the calendar year. These make, of course, the 8 Irish or the 8 Celtic seasonal festivals. Lunasah is exactly the cross-quarter moment between summer solstice and autumn equinox. The cross-quarter moment. If you divide the time equally between summer solstice and autumn equinox, you land at Lunasah. And there is a great tradition in Ireland of celebrating Lunasah, as Karen said, the harvest festival, the true beginning of autumn, on the first weekend in August. And that is what we call the folk festival of Lunasah. For those who are keen astronomers, they will know that the exact moment of that quarter time changes year after year. And this year in 2020 in Ireland, it will fall on August the 7th at 1:04 in the morning.
So that means we get to celebrate almost for a full week the festivities of Lunasah. And the tradition in Ireland are very many. There's wild dancing, as we know from the great Brian Friel's play Dancing at Lunasah, when the harvest is brought in, and communities would come together in mehel style. This is the Gaelic word for coming together to help each other, so that the harvest would be brought in our field and then your field and then the next field. And there was also a great sense of honouring the grain, the abundance of a successful harvest. And as we know, the farmers would have been out looking keenly at the weather. When was the time to sow? When was the time to till? When is the time to reap? And for us in our lives, we are beginning to reap what we have sown. And the key word for Lunasah Festival is abundance.
Bringing our lives into alignment with the season's turnings is, of course, a great part of the shamanic way. And to have a personal ritual, a collective celebration every 8 weeks during the calendar year or thereabouts is so much a part of the Irish and the Celtic tradition. So we invite you in our sharing to take part in our traditional Lunasah ritual, but also a ritual that you can take into your own lives, perhaps sharing with family, with friends, with students and more.
So we'd like to introduce you to this vessel, and this is a key part of our ceremony. And this is a glass cauldron, if you will, But you can see here behind us is the traditional cauldron. And in many households throughout the land, many moons ago, there would have been a giant vessel or cauldron which would have held the famous Irish stew. And this would have been over the fire, bubbling away. And traditionally it had 3 legs, as you can see behind. And again, that evokes the old Celtic, the threes, the triple spiral. And it speaks of plenty, the cauldron of plenty. But for our ceremony, we want to use something that you will have at home. So we're using this fancy glass bowl, which again is a vessel, and it's going to hold the 4 elements.
Often we would do ceremonies with the 4 elements in the cast iron cauldron behind us. But again, we're choosing the glass one to allow visibility, and perhaps you'll follow by using a glass vessel where you are. It just allows more visual enjoyment of seeing the community of the 4 elements blending together as part of the ritual.
Mm-hmm. So abundance is a very interesting word. There is a saying, I'm sure we've all heard of it. Do you go through life seeing the glass half full or the glass half empty? And so often with what's going on in our world, we can be mired in the helplessness and the hopelessness of what's going on. But the idea that Lunasah gives us the reminder that at this key point in our year, we give thanks and gratitude for what we already have. And we do have so much in our lives. When we think back to our ancestors, they didn't have electricity, they didn't have running water in their homes, there was so much, and yet there was a great sense of community spirit. So this is where we want to bring these elements into the ceremony today.
The tradition of our ceremony is that it's informed by our mythology, which Karen will share very soon. And it's, of course, honouring the 4 elements of life. The 4 elements that are the making of you, the making of me, the making of all of life. The combination of earth, air, fire, and water. And the Irish tradition of working with the 4 elements, of working with the cauldron, also is about having an external vessel, the cauldron, to work with, so that we can work with the internal vessel, work with the spirit, to work with the soul, that we come into alignment with this time of gathering abundance, this gathering of harvest, so that as we talk about farmers gathering the harvest from the fields, we are really in ceremony also to honour the harvest in our personal and collective lives.
Mm-hmm. And the cauldron also mirrors 3 key parts of us, our womb or our power centre for men, the cauldron of our heart, and the cauldron of what we call now our third eye, or medicine eye. So there's an awful lot of depth within this vessel. And so let me tell you a little bit more about Lugh. There is a wonderful story about how Lugh, who was a man of many talents, arrived on the Hill of Tara. And Hill of Tara was where, at the time, the High Kings of Ireland were crowned, inaugurated, and lived. And when Lugh arrived up, you could imagine that it was heavily fortified. So he was met by the big burly security man on the gate, so to speak, and he asked, who are you, why are you coming here? And Lugh said, I'm a warrior, I'd like to visit. And the gatekeeper said, no, we have loads of warriors here, no thanks. So Lugh changed his tack and he went, I'm a blacksmith. No, we have them too, no thank you. Actually I have healing arts. No, we have plenty of healers. And the list went on and on. And then Lugh, in a burst of inspiration, said, but do you have someone who has all of these skills? And of course the gatekeeper had to admit, gosh, I don't think so. So he went in and checked, and it went right up to the High King, who realised, who is this man at our gate? So Lugh was invited in, and he garnered the name Samaldonic. Isn't that a fabulous name? So Samaldonic is the Irish, the Gaelic for one of many talents, one of many skills. So a bit like we would know our pentathlon or decathlon athletes in an Olympics, he had many, many skills. And this is part of the legends that come down to us from the ancient texts. And it speaks to us that we can have much abundance in our lives, that we too have many skills. Sometimes in our education system, it's all geared towards getting points and passing exams, but we forget that the abundance of a ready smile, of warm hospitality, of a kind heart means so much and will certainly get you very far in life.
Lunasah is a really important festival, not just at this time of the year as we celebrate the cross-quarter moment between the summer solstice and autumn equinox, but throughout the 4 seasons we honour and call in the energy and the spirit of Lunasah. Why would we do that? So many of us on our healing journey, and those who take a mystical path, often their spiritual journey is a healing path. The healing path is by definition their spiritual path. That often when we come forward for our own healing, or we recognize a profound time in our lives for healing, we're often recognizing or seeing something missing in our lives and then calling out for that, going to our healer, going to our shaman, or taking whatever journey we need to take to bring back what is missing. Often we might recognize that we have lost something original in ourselves. There may be an aspect of soul loss, for example, and then we'll go to the shaman for soul retrieval. And on, the stories of human motivation for healing are often psychologically accompanied by recognition of something missing or something lost. And we can often then emotionally see ourselves weak at that moment or in deficit in some kind of way. And what this sets up is a very, very important imbalance of energy. So that we live, we say, as shamans, in a homeopathic universe. What that really means is that like energy attracts like. And if we're holding at the start of our healing journey that we are in deficit, or that we're in some kind of poverty within ourselves, or we're weak in some kind of way, that belief has an energy, and that often can have a limiting effect on the actual healing adventure itself. So that Lunasah is about honouring what we have in our abundance, what we have in our riches. So that our ceremony today is about honouring the harvest, the riches, the abundance we already have in our life, and by honouring them, keeping them in good store, so that psychologically we're never forgetting them. So no matter what our healing journeys in the future, we're not beginning or continuing from a place of deficit, a place of poverty, or a place of lack. We're always moving forward in our life from a place of abundance. And that in the homeopathic universe is really very, very powerful in terms of bringing like energy, abundance in.
Mm-hmm. So we're now going to introduce you and co-create this ceremony with you, and then we'll be giving you ideas for how you can do this at home yourself if you wish. So we're going to start with the element of water.
We invite you now to trust your intuition, to trust your instinct, and to allow an honouring of an abundance, the honouring of a richness in your life that is already evident, to come forward and to be honoured by the element of water. To allow the element of water to hold a blessing of a richness in your life, an abundance in your life. And as I bring the water to Karen for her to blow with her breath into the water, bringing the energy of the richness she's connecting with in her life now into the water, I blow my breath to do likewise 3 times, honouring a richness and abundance in my life. And as I bring the water to the lens, now to be free, blowing with your breath 3 times the blessing of a richness and abundance in your life into the water as you join us in this community ceremony.
Well done.
And we now bring that water as a foundation into our cauldron.
And of course, if you live near a holy well, if you live near a river, a stream, if you have a well on your land, then of course that would be the water to use.
Water, of course, is the element we are most made of. This is why we're starting with the element of water. An infant is often up to 70% water when born, and as adults, we are more than 55% water for much of our adult life.
So now we bring the element of earth, and we have chosen these beautiful coloured flowers. So you may choose the flowers in your garden or your park or stones, but the element of earth. And again, we blow 3 times in.
And as you see myself and Karen bring your breath to the flowers, allow now your intuition to connect to your second abundance, your second riches that can be honoured by the element of earth. Three breaths. Honouring that second store of abundance and richness in your life.
Well done.
Thank you.
And now the element of air, represented by a feather, and in this case a beautiful swan feather. So this is the time to think of the third abundance in your life as we demonstrate what to do. And now it's your turn. 3 times. Your third abundance.
Allowing the element of air to be the element of the universe, the making of all life that honours this, your third riches, your third abundance. Well done. And finally, fire. Again, trusting your intuition and your instinct to find the fourth richness and abundance in your life. Allowing the element of fire to be the element that carries the blessing, carries a perpetual honouring of your fourth richness, abundance in your life. As we bring the fire to you now, blowing with your breath 3 times the honouring of your fourth richness, your fourth abundance, that the spirit and element of fire will consecrate, perpetuate, keep alive. Thank you.
Adam.
And we hold this combination now of our abundance, our riches, our Lunasah harvest. We hold the blend of the water, the earth, the air, and the fire, traditionally for 3 days and 3 nights. We ask you now to bring the palms of your hands towards the cauldron as we do, and to now, with your left hand, with your intention from your left hand, offer another blessing, the gratitude for all of your abundance. It's said that appreciation and gratitude is one of the most powerful prayers. For when we say thank you to the universe, in the homeopathic energy of the universe says thank you back to us. And with your right hand, allow yourself to receive in from the cauldron the cumulative energy of the blend of the four elements, now taking their own life. And this will be the way it'll be should you wish to bring this ritual into your personal life in the coming days of Lunasah. And with both hands now, left hand giving, right hand receiving.
And take a pause and really feel the palpable energy of this. Very simple ceremony, but yet so beautiful and so powerful. Knowing that our ancestors, since time immemorial, have created a ceremony like this at the time of early harvest.
And we here in Ireland will keep this combined prayer of the four elements made by Karen and myself and you. We will keep this for the next 3 days and 3 nights, so that we begin our autumn from a platform of abundance, but that this ritual lasts throughout the entire 4 seasons.
And you might decide that partaking of this ceremony now is more than enough for you, or you might decide maybe I'll wait until the eve of True Lunasah on the 6th, or maybe you'll even stay up early until 4 minutes past 1, very early in the morning of the 7th, to do your ritual. Your choice.
And may you now receive into the 3 cauldrons Karen referred to, by now gathering the energies of this combined prayer and bringing them into your cauldron
of your belly, your womb, your dantian.
Cauldron of power.
Reaching up again, gathering the energies, and this time into the cauldron of your heart.
Place of love, compassion, kindness, forgiveness.
And reaching out once more, and this time bringing in to our medicine eye, our third eye. Wisdom.
Mila buikas or koja, Mila buikas dan Sharmanas Lunasah. We give you great thanks for joining us for this Lunasah celebration. May your autumn be beautiful and above all abundant and bring even more riches.
Slán go fóill, goodbye until autumn equinox.
Slán